Hey, what's up, Internet? How's it going? It's Alexander Williamson here with the secret history living inside of your aquarium. Let me get some settings set up. Settings set up? Yeah, that makes sense. Let's get some settings. Let's get the tripod up, ready to go, and let some people trickle in. But what I wanted to talk about, and I suppose at the risk of someone grabbing the idea and running with it, is basically I just wanted to throw out the idea, hey, Bob, what's up? Megan, what's up? Buster Maston, what's up? So, here's the idea. I basically have been thinking about this for, I don't know, years off and on. S-Oak, welcome. But I want to explain to you guys an app that I would like to make for, what's up, Big Texas, that I would like to make for the community at large of aquatic hobbyists. So that's everything from freshwater, saltwater, plants, aquascaping. Flynn, welcome. How's it going, buddy? How's Canada? And also, this is coming, hey Betsy, this is coming mostly because of a selfish need that is not fulfilled. And so my plan, if I can get some people together that are on the same wavelength, is I would like to make an app that essentially works kind of like a dating app. So you've got your profile, and on your profile you can say, hey, I love discus, right? Okay, I love discus. I am looking for a blue discus. I need a female blue discus with a snakeskin pattern. And so then someone else in your area is matched up with you geographically. And it starts with the closest people, but it's regional, even world, whatever. And basically, so you've got your thing almost like Tinder or any of the dating apps that use proximity to... Why am I not in focus? Come on. There we go. And welcome everybody who's streaming in. So we've got Spring Pods, we've got Scottish, what up Scottish, Aquatics, Local. So let me see this another way, and then we'll go into a little bit of the details. But basically, so for me, this is how it would work. I love live bearers, and I would make a profile, just like a dating app, and I would say, I have leopard endlers, I have blue Japanese endlers, I have black bar endlers, I have red laser endlers, and these are all the true lines I have. Plus I've got mixes, and I've got males and females. I'm willing to sell, and I'm willing to breed or trade. And so you'd have an option next to each of the things you have. And so basically I would have in live bearers in my profile, it would say endlers, and then under that it would say, guppies, because these are live bearers. So it would categorize things by species essentially, and then you'd upload a picture, whatever, just like any app that has an avatar. You can still put info. There'd be a messaging feature just like a dating app, but really the idea is to pair people up, especially in areas outside of cities where you can't find people or you don't know people that breed what you breed or that have what you want. So for instance, shrimp, even though there's 4 million people in the Seattle area, I don't know who those people are. Some of them aren't in the fish club. Some of them aren't into going out. Some of them don't sell to the fish stores, whatever the case may be. But if we had a database that's kind of a cross between a dating app and Craigslist and eBay or Aquabid all in one, I think it would be pretty cool. And then you could have an algorithm that would basically match up. So you say, I have a long fin green pleco, and I want a long fin green dragon pleco to mate with an albino pleco. And then it would put out the word, basically, and do a search for you on anybody who listed on their profile that they have an albino pleco that they're willing to either sell or breed. And so in the long run, I mean, this would be great for dogs too. So there probably is something for dogs. I don't know, maybe Betsy or someone like that doesn't know, or does know, but because she's into breeding dogs. But basically, with horses, dogs, cats, if you want a purebred, sometimes it's hard. I mean, there's registries of breeders and things, but I think it'd be cool for all pets. And in this case, for fish, it would be, it would be plants and things too. So you could say, I have Ludwigia, and under Ludwigia, you could have boom, 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 looking for boom, 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 and you'd have a wish list. So it would kind of have to have a stock or an inventory made up, which would be quite extensive. So it might start with just your, corridoras, tetras, live bears, something small. And then from there it would build out. So let me read. So do you have the resources to make this app? Not necessarily talking about money. I know that's the big thing, but I'm talking more about like hosting, domain, mods, web, graphic design. Yeah, so that's kind of why I am chatting with you guys, basically. I want to get this out into the universe, out into the internet. I've put forth ideas. I've registered a patent pending, essentially, the idea of matching up through proximity breeds of fish, basically, and it's pending, so we'll see. But the idea is I don't have that team. I have made apps. I have friends who've helped make them. I'm a graphic designer, so I know how to do the layout. I know how to upload the photos. I have a friend who is a server-side domain, like he hosts domains. He has a server of his own, and then he also does security and data upload work, actually for Rand Corp /CIA. So he has a big task, and he's one of my best friends. I also have friends who work here in Seattle in app companies and things like that. So basically, if there was enough interest, maybe in a Kickstarter, an indie thing, or if some company wants to try to bite this off, I'm just curious what kinks, what foreseeable problems, how much interest there is in this. If I post this video, and people share the idea and they're like, I would love this. Maybe we can get enough traction to get this thing funded enough that we could pay, even if it's little, as a passion project, get it going, a prototype, and then the other thing is you gotta decide how are we gonna make it monetized. And so for me, I think about it and I'm like, well, there's always, you could incorporate Venmo or PayPal or one of those things so that all of the money part is all secure. So if you have 5 zebra plecos, you don't have to bring $1,000 in cash to the spot. So that would be one end, but that's not necessarily, and you take 1% or something, but that's not necessary for most of the interactions that I would foresee happening. And you don't want them to just meet each other here on that app and then go elsewhere and not keep participating in posting what they have, you know what I mean? So I've done 2 Kickstarters successfully for other projects, for 2 books that I've written and illustrated. But hold on, I'm trying to read these things. So Pet Finder and Adopt a Pet. I've seen a lot of programs that are, or apps that are really close, and they're similar, and I have looked, but they don't do what I'm looking for, which is basically, I want to keep this kind of selfish in the sense that this is for, I want to breed these fish. This is for, I have these rare fish. I have these plants. I have Ludwigia, and I mean, in my head, I think way down the line, and this is way out past just the basics, is then you come up with some sort of currency of just like, this plant's worth X amount according to the amalgamated data online, and you know, it has a net value of X amount that everyone can agree on, but it's always changing. So yeah, so I also, you know, think like these woodcats that I have, they are not necessarily scientifically named, the species that I have even. They came in as ninja woodcats through a distributor, but maybe somebody else went on a personal collecting trip and has these woodcats. One of my the one female I have dies, all of a sudden I need another one. And so then it becomes, what's it worth, and like, how do you monetize? The other thing is, you want pet stores and distributors to also be a part of this, because hey, they bring in a lot of the plants and a lot of the things into the country, and you need money to get it in. So then, I mean, realistically, you have to address, especially to get funding, well, how does this make money for anybody? Obviously, it's making money for, or making the world easier, because we don't have to go to the pet store and buy a $200 pleco. If somebody has a male and you have a female, and you guys get together and decide, and it says in your profile, I have X and I'm looking for Y, I'm available for breeding, I'm available for buying or selling, and it just puts you in contact. And the hardest part of all this is, if you don't have a fish club, you don't know. And so it would start locally, like Tinder or any of the apps, and so it would look for people with lists that match up. But then beyond that, it would match you with those people. And then what I'm thinking of is for advertisers and things like that, to monetize it, to make it sustainable, to pay for the domains, to pay for the server space, the server maintenance, security, all that stuff. You would have basically like ads by Fluval, like buy this, and it can be in the app. You know, it can be just like Aquabid. It can comb Aquabid for you too, and try to find somebody and link profiles via Aquabid. So this would basically be an overarching like Amazon wish list for fish and plants. But beyond that, it would put out there what you want to do with your fish and plants. Hold on, let me read some of, like, there's been a lot of comments coming in, so hold on, let me read some of what's going on. So Scottish says, for instance, I'm trying to breed blue German rams. Also, my discus have bred. I need different varieties, other types of fish. I'd be willing to trade with that type, would make it easier. Totally. So then some Spring Pods and Isotails says, each area has different resources and accessibility, so it makes it a localized pricing. Yeah, and so I think that's totally true. And one, I don't have all the kinks worked out, because I don't know how this would unfold. I don't think it has unfolded in a free market kind of sense, but basically I want it to be not the corporation or the app that has that much to do with it. Kind of like Craigslist. Like, Craigslist doesn't really do much themselves. They facilitate information and getting parties together, and it's all out there. It's just a matter of who wants to participate and making it, free or whatever. And then you could also have a deal where, like, if you don't want to see any Fluval ads or whatever, you pay $2 for the app or whatever. I don't know. Then in it also you could have links to Wikipedia, Seriously Fish, whatever would be decided by the people who want to use the app later down the road. But then it would tell you, okay, so we know you could upload a tank profile. And you could say, I got this kind of light, this kind of water, this kind of yada yada in a tank. And it then will say, well, we're going to recommend that we've got another guy who's got a black water tank that's only 2 miles down the road from you. And he's searching for catappa leaves or something, you know? So it would be like all the kind of stuff that we're into as a hobby, but it would be bartering, trading. The taxes would have to be all on each person, because obviously there's issues there if you're getting around taxes and stuff by trading and bartering. But I think that it's a resource that's not out there that I've seen. There's places that source things, you can special order things, but that's all a buyer's market, and I want this to also be a seller's market. The local fish shop won't always sell to you, but all the time around here, I know people who have 60 of a fish and they can't get rid of them because they just had a litter of them. And they're usually $80 a fish, rare fish or something, but it's just that the market is too localized. But maybe down 200 miles away, nobody has those fish and they're paying $100 a pop for them. And you could, split the difference at 50. Maybe you could facilitate large-scale transfers like that through a pet shop, whereas a pet shop can register with the website or the app and say, hey, once 10 people have listed they want this thing, I'll import it. And then they're going to have to set the price low enough that people will buy it, or it doesn't work out. But I would need to figure out a way to not undercut all these local pet shops and fish shops, because obviously we need them to be part of the hobby. We need them to be part of this whole thing. So, all right, let's go down. Get sketches of the pages we would see so as to design an app via place cards. Yeah, no, I can do all that. I've done that before. Yeah, and exactly. A lot of places do not allow live animals. Obviously, you could not allow for exotics unless people had a license for that thing. The place cards would spell it all out via picture, being worth 1,000 words. Yeah, I got to get some napkins and put together soon and get a point across on the forum. Your app would set the standard across the board in sales. If vendors get huge prices, this could go huge. Yeah, so you see where I'm going with this. Like, yes, there's a financial idea that I have with this. And yes, somebody could take this idea right now and totally screw me over. But I want to go out there on record because I've been talking about this for a long time now. And even if I didn't make it, as much as I've put a little footnote in with the patent office, I would love to be involved with it. And also, I think this city, for instance, with aquascaping and things like that, there's a big need for knowing what's out there. And then also, it can be global in the sense that, hey, we discovered this new fish. This community needs more resources. They don't want 4 middlemen. They don't want a smuggler and an exporter and then a warehouse, and then they get here and it's seagrass and then it goes to the local fish store. That's a 5-cent fish or whatever when they have it. And it can be very empowering. It could also blow up the market. So you'd have to be responsible about this. Like, you don't want to blow up the market and screw over all the local fish shops either. So there's still some kinks to work out where I would really, really like feedback in this video. If you're watching this later, I would really love feedback about, hey, I run a local fish shop, or hey, I sell discus out of my house, or whatever it may be. But for shrimp, for all sorts of stuff, I feel like this could really bring the price down, or if not that, it could at least bring down, it could at least allow trading. So maybe you have excess amounts of blue bolt shrimp, and you're just dying for some red crystal shrimp, I don't know, whatever. And you could put it on your want list and your wish list, and that computer algorithm's going to see, oh, he's got this and this, and there's someone in his area who's got a bunch of blue bolt shrimp. All right, well, we'll send him an alert. You could also make it so that people see your stuff are able to browse your list, or you could keep it private and just be alerted to, hey, there's a match, you know, kind of like Tinder or any of those dating apps where they both have to agree that I'm interested or whatever. And you could post pictures of your livestock and stuff like that. Now, there are some interstate trade issues that I'm sure you'd have to get around, but the website would simply be facilitating, letting you know that that person is there. That's where I think it's better to have sponsors than to handle any sort of money transaction, just like Craigslist, because people sell like all sorts of stupid things on Craigslist, like guns and their babies and just like ridiculous stories you see in the news. But that's not Craigslist's fault. They're facilitating this, and by all means, 99.9% of the trades are totally above board. So yeah, let me look at a couple more questions or comments. Sellers to fish stores keep loyalty to, say, one shop in a 100-mile radius. If you set up an app as not for profit, it change many regulations. So yeah, it's just I want in this video, if you see this later, if you're in here now, I would love comments, questions. If you think this is a good idea, share it. The only thing is, I would really, really be honored if somebody does want to get involved in this and they're serious. I mean, I have some means. I don't have the means to do it money-wise right now. I'm hanging on as an artist, a graphic designer, and selling friggin' shrimp. So I can't set aside 6 months or a year of my life to do this right now. But if there is a tech company that somebody works for, or an angel investor that's like, I am obsessed with fish and this is gonna rock the fish world, then I think there could be some great stuff there. Also, I mean, you could do things like have tie-ins to YouTube, or have tie-ins to, you know, my X is sick, this is how X or Y fish is sick, and this is how I fix that issue. Informationally, I mean, Amazonas magazine, things like that. You could tie in all sorts of stuff, just like Wikipedia does, where it's got sources and clickable databases. Now, this is a lot of data to handle, so you do need good processing power, good servers, things like that, and that costs money to host. So there probably has to be at least ads or something like that, or a price for the monthly service and then no ads. But to me, I think you would save so much money if the fish stores or importers didn't all get it. Now, granted, you still need to keep the fish importers importing, because, I mean, I don't think person to person is reliable enough, safe enough, things like that. It is a big project. It could start small. You could start with plants so that nobody gets upset about like our livestock dying in shipments and things like that. Because a lot of people don't even realize you can ship fish on like Aquabid and things like that. And then it's a matter of keeping it open source and hobbyist run, hobbyist empowered, that you don't have some other company like Google just swoop in and make another version and ruin it for everyone right there. Because you could easily monopolize a system like that if you have the power. And so I think transparency is important, and I think that the idea of proximity being the first criteria after a match, and then also you'd or maybe you could pay for ratings, you know, like Yelp. So maybe you give $1 a month, and that allows people to say, hey, I picked up fish from this guy and it was awesome, and he rocked, and so I gave him 5 stars. And then that way they see, oh, there's 400 verified user reports on this guy, whereas if you're not paying, you can still chat with people or whatever, but you don't have that validation via the app and other hobbyists. Yes, Aquabid is doing some kind of stuff like this, kind of, and a lot of stores are selling on Aquabid now, which used to not be the case. So yeah, I think though that like this concept, it's a sharing economy, it's a bartering economy. I mean, it's what's going on with like Uber car sharing and renting cars for the day essentially, and Airbnb. It's the sharing economy, and it cuts out the middleman. It empowers and gives money to the people. Now, of course there's kinks to work out. Of course there's stuff that's probably going over my head. I haven't ever done this before, but I have set up other nonprofits. I've set up businesses. I've set up graphics for websites, and well, I'll just say I'm not an idiot. I can learn. I can learn a lot of this stuff. But yeah, the thing is, you don't, and as Betsy just said, you don't need to reinvent the wheel for this concept. So this concept, this data is out there. There's already other websites and things and exchanges like killifish egg exchanges and stuff that probably, if you talk to them and if you made the platform right, that's what I'm trying to figure out. What is right? What do we need to do as hobbyists that would make everyone feel, you're never going to make everyone feel good, but make most people feel good, and that way it is like a search engine of, here's the American Killifish Association, the American Livebearer Association, there's a meetup coming up, and they can advertise that while you're scrolling through matches, and on there, they've already indexed their stuff. Maybe all the local fish clubs around the country, their users can do this, and as a favor for having the club do that, they get a group discount on if you're doing the high-end like PayPal thing where the app handles the money. Maybe they get to do it for free because they're mavens, as it's called, in the information and technology space, where there's these people that hold the key to contacting lots and lots of other people. And so those mavens, like people like Gary Lang, those are people that are spokes in wheels of connections, and they have way less degrees of separation than most people, than your given person. And so but I want to put this out into the universe. I feel like the channel's growing. I feel like this is something that I've had in my mind for a long time. So I used to have, well, I still do. My mother has it now because she's got a bigger house. She's retired and disabled, and I left my cat after college with her. But I have a cat that's half ocelot. And when I was looking for it, there were all sorts of websites with breeders, and I was like, I don't know if that's a good breeder, and there's comments, and I'm like, I don't know who's verified, and there wasn't like a Craigslist for cats, for exotic cats, and so I found this rescue place that had large cats, and they checked your house out and all that stuff, and so I had an ocelot for a while, and now my mom does, but basically, that's the first incarnation of this idea, was way back, I don't know, 8 or 9 years ago, when I was thinking, man, it'd be nice if, because a lot of people with cats, like especially rare breeds of cats and dogs, are like, I'll pay 10 grand if your male will come over, it's a paper with papers and it is rare or whatever, if it will breed with my female, and then we can either split the litter, or we can have a just straight cash transaction, or have trade credit towards your other products, whatever. So I just would need to figure out the mechanics of all that, and get input really on like what people think is necessary, versus, and helpful, versus just like, oh, you're making it so complicated and bloated. But I think what would be key is using already available data sources to save a lot of money and time, and and basically, having the locality, because the locality thing is tough. I don't like shipping fish. I would rather sell to people in my area if I could. So if I can be matched with somebody within 50 miles who's not in a club, maybe they casually do it, or maybe they're just into one thing and they don't want to go sit through club meetings talking about cichlids when all they do is shrimp, So I think there are a lot of people. I've done my research, and there are over 100 million people in the U.S. who've owned fish. That's 1 out of 3 people have owned fish. And it's something like 10% of households currently have a fish or some sort of aquatic animal. So, yeah. But, when I had, I have friends who breed pit bulls and who breed other animals for a living. And they'll do deals like where there's a litter, and if there's 4 in a litter, they each get 2. And this is, of course, people who live close by one another. And maybe it's $50 to, this is way lower than it is, but maybe it's $500 or $1,000 to loan out their female and, pair them off. Maybe it's per pup, happens to be 5 puppies, that's, $400 or whatever, or it's free and you both split it. Whatever it may be. I mean, I feel like different people want to work things out different ways. And just because papered animals and things, or fish that are high-end, whatever you want to call it, like koi and things, or arowanas, not the Asian ones, those are illegal in the U.S., but the higher end stuff, there's not just one way either. I know there's one way that people are used to. I know that when I wanted my ocelot, it was you go online and you find registers and things like that. And so Betsy's saying that's not how it works, and I'm saying why not? I know that's not how it works. So it's basically the verification is another step that would be nice. This is Gary Lang. He's the rainbow fish dude. He has 500 rainbow fish, and maybe there's a spotlight section on like endangered species or something, and maybe there's even tax credits or something. Like, who knows? So basically all these other, there's a million wild goose chases and little trails to go down with what this app could include, how to monetize it, all that stuff. But the basics are, I want an app where you create a profile, you upload what you have, what you want. If you're willing to breed your creature with their creature, whatever it may be, and split it, or sell those babies, or whatever that may be. And then also a way to verify payment, and also a way to verify that something's pure. So not necessarily, it's hard to say, oh, that's a purebred Endler. DNA testing and things like that doesn't get done for those, for fish very often. But maybe the higher rating, just like Yelp, or even like Tinder, the more swipes people get saying that's awesome, maybe you upload pictures of all your creatures so people can see them. And if you're bored, you can just go on the app and be like, all right, let's see which discus are available in the Seattle area. Wow, that one looks rad. And you can see that, all right, 14 other people have bought discus from this guy over the last 2 years, and nobody's had any ideas. So the next step, Bob, is basically I want this video to get into the hands of somebody in the tech industry, preferably in the Northwest, or somebody who loves fish with some money and would like to seriously talk about what I'm talking about. There are a lot more people that need to put things into this. Is a forum easier? Maybe, but I don't think that's what the youth and what younger generation will necessarily be doing. And forum, you can search, but it's not an amalgamation of a lot of things. Bob, what you just said, he's a busy guy, and I don't think he has an interest, / he's the only person I'm worried might grab this idea and run with it without talking to me at all, and I won't get credit for it. I mean, it's not one idea. I mean, there's a lot of people. And hello, those of you still coming in, welcome. Patricia and John, or D. Smith, who is it? CK. So, yeah, there's some things. I mean, for dating, isn't a forum easier? Bob, I have, and he doesn't have an interest, so I'll leave it at that right now. I want to stay cheery. We live in the same town, essentially. So, yeah, but it's a tech city. I live in a giant tech city with tons of money. I don't have tons of money, but somebody does that loves fish and that would want to work with this. So if this is an idea that you guys think is cool, maybe it's only half cool, maybe it's only half right, you think this needs to happen, drop a comment after this uploads, after this live stream uploads, share it around your fish group. And it's a lot of gray areas, it's a lot of tough stuff. I've been looking at it for years, though. So I've been looking at the laws. I know where the pitfalls are. I know that it's going to be a lot easier to facilitate connections because dealing with money becomes interstate commerce. Dealing with live animals becomes animal welfare. Things like that. Saying you're setting up puppy mills, things like, or, fish mills or things like that. That can get nasty. So it really needs to be in the interest of, I know there's a site that works like this for Texas Longhorns, and so it's just for cattle, and it's about like how big they are and how long their horns are, and people go live on this app and they can bid, and they actually order bull sperm that's in liquid nitrogen canisters, and it's delivered, and they inseminate their cattle. So I know there's versions of it. I'm talking about doing something a little bigger, broader, and I would like to really include plants. And maybe we would have to start with plants because of animal cruelty laws in a certain state. I don't know. There's a lot of stuff to look at, and that's why I need somebody with resources, with money, and the interest in this to say, because I've got the passion. I know a lot of you guys have the passion to make something like this happen. And I know a lot of tech guys around here, or gals, who would be interested. But yeah, I think that that's a great point, Buster. So he just said that it sounds cool. I think it'd be cool to be able to link podcasts into the app to keep people coming in on a regular basis. If you would be, it would be awesome if you could build in some kind of visual planning tool like landscaping, interior design software. Yeah, so all of these ideas are great, and I agree. And I've thought about like aquascaping. I do it, or even just laying out your fish room, like the tanks and stuff and air pumps. All of this is a great idea. That all exists in architectural software. You can literally do that, but it's very expensive for that software. So I agree that would be a great function. Maybe that's a free add-on, or maybe that's an add-on once you've done 10 trades, or maybe that's a separate app. But there has to be money or things changing hands, I think, to make money off of it, unless you're just selling the app for one-time use. But, I mean, I like that idea. That's the idea of sandbox apps. And there are plenty of apps where you can sketch out your room, you can sketch out the dimensions, you can plant trees in places. Now, I don't know if anybody's specifically uploaded underwater features in the sense of like Ludwigia, Crip, but there's like all sorts of 3D rendering programs that architects use already. And pardon me, I'm forgetting, one of my buddies is an architect, And he was showing me how he could plan out this whole courtyard, and I go under trees and I can select like 500 kinds of trees and then click and drag their size and even make it look like it's fall, and I can put them in a line on the sidewalk, and then I can plant magnolias if I want, or I can plant daisies at the foot of it, and then I can put boulders, or I can put like carved granite, or whatever. Like, it's crazy what they have in the architectural apps. That app is $9,800 to buy. So there is some stuff out there that exists. And then, there's stuff just as simple as drawing it out on graph paper and cutting it out, which is what I've done. I've showed that in videos. So, yeah. And I think you'd have to find a good price, because it takes some power, like Tinder or whatever. But Tinder's free. And granted, that has people who are trying to hook up with people, and that's a little more driving incentive to keep using it. But here you don't have to worry about the outliers, the really hot and really unattractive people that are not working, that are not trading looks and exchanges and things, and are spamming up the system when Brad Pitt is getting hit on by Quasimodo or whatever. I don't know. I'm sounding like a jerk, but they're fish, so it's not as personal in that sense, and it's more straightforward. That like, I have this fish, you have that fish. Can we get them together? I want to buy 40 tetras. Somebody in the area is going to have a list updated of what's in their list. So this is really for people buying and selling, but maybe that's a killer deal. Maybe somebody's like, I got 20 tetras. I see that on your list you have one pleco. I'll trade you all those tetras for that pleco. And that's where it's in the hands of the people. And that's where ads would totally be like that. I'm hearing sounds that sound like wheels. Yeah, there's cars outside. Hold on, I'm trying to read these things. Why is that, Betsy? As a possible buyer, but also skeptical of apps, I'd be leery of paying to see if I want to buy something. Yeah, exactly. I think free is the way to go. As annoying as ads are, I think maybe ads are the way to go also, just like YouTube and Facebook and everything else. Because somebody's got to pay to create it. Somebody's got to pay to have the server. And I think, yeah, maybe it's a nonprofit, and then that cuts down on the amount of that getting pushed down your throat. But then wholesalers can come in and say, you know what, we can beat that 10 cents on a tetra that Jimmy down the street who breeds tetras have. Or if they can't, they can't. And so I think it could also bring down some prices of fish direct to the people, which could be bad for fish breeders, but it could be really good for fish owners that don't necessarily breed. But really, off topic, but hold on one second. I'm glad you guys are talking so much. It's just hard to keep up. Ads would be good commission for the app. Yeah, totally. Off topic, but is there a lid on the tank with your cribs in it? No. My cribs have never jumped or done anything like that, ever. I have a whole bunch of them up there right now. International shipping. Nobody wants to ship outside the U.S. Well, the onus on that would be on the seller and on international laws through this app. Encourage more buyers. I don't have a lid on with my cribs. Yeah, you should be fine. Don't fill it to the very top if it's rimless or something, but give them a little bit of water from the top, and they should be fine. They tend to stay lower anyways, cribs. They'll come to the top to eat or to kind of check things out, or if they're mating, they'll run all over the place and do their little dances. But for the most part, they kind of hang out and hide under stuff and eat algae and stay low. So yeah, I don't want this live cast to go on forever, but please, 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 if you are one of the people watching this and you think that even half of this sounds good and you think, okay, that's cool, but this is lame, I don't like that part of it. I'm just trying to get feedback and exposure to the idea, and maybe maybe somebody with some money and a dream. And you better believe that I am totally all in right now. I'm a freelancer, so if somebody is like, let's ante up and do this, I can start putting together a team too of other people that are in the same world of tech. Maybe they don't like fish like I do. It would be preferable if we have someone. So yeah, exactly. Oh, thank you, Spring Pods and Isotails. Yeah, if everybody in here likes this, go ahead and like it. I agree. If you're not subscribed yet, go ahead and subscribe if you like it. But basically, I just wanted to let you know, because a lot of clubs too will say, hey, I'm driving down to Oregon and I'm going to pick up this or that from the wet spot. Like here in Seattle, the wet spot is one of the cheapest and one of the most amazing selections of fish in the country, especially for cichlids. And so we'll go down and we'll say, hey, who's going down to the wet spot this month? Everyone wants this or that. We'll all throw in $25 and we'll buy, we'll each get 2 cichlids or something. So that already goes on, but this would just be facilitating a way to do it. This is not reinventing the wheel. This is just a way of consolidating all these methods that people have had, putting them together, deciding which ones are too much of a pain and which ones are helpful to breeders, because there's more breeders than local fish stores. I'm sorry. I want to keep local fish stores doing well, and inadvertently that has to mean that importers and distributors do well. So I really need to talk to some fish store people, owners, and sort this out of how to keep them in the loop and happy, because we still want to be able to go to the fish store and pick out, you know, from fish, obviously. At least most people, I would venture, would say that. But also, I think it's fair that we can undercut them in some ways. Especially for trading fish and things like that. People already do it, it's just we haven't given the power to the people. So that's what this is about. That's the note I'm going to end this on, is this is about putting the power in the hands of the people. And if you are into that and you want to spread rare breeds, you want to put the power of breeding into the hands of people, information and commerce, I mean, that's pretty friggin' American. And if you're on board with that, please share this video or link it or talk to someone about the concept. I put a lot of ways to get in contact with me on the link to the info once this posts in about a half hour after this video's live. So feel free to contact me on that note. And I'm in the Seattle area, huge tech area, huge. Like here in Silicon Valley, it doesn't get too much bigger. So let me know if you have some contacts, resources, or if you know somebody who owns an aquatic company of some sort, Fritz or something like that. You know, I've seen them work and support things. Let me know. And I'm at the stage now where I wanted to launch the idea. I have a print summary of this that has gone to the copyright and also patent office. Copyright, wrong place to go, so patent office for a utility patent. But it's a pretty, I mean, you can't patent trade, right? Okay, but to the extent that you can, I've done it before. I'm gonna come out on the internet and say something. So let me know if you're interested in working with me, if you're interested in making this happen, spreading this idea. Even if I'm not the one who does it, I didn't want to sit back and never see this happen. I'd rather have someone else steal it and give the power to the people than to not have it happen at all. So that's why I'm going out on a limb and putting this idea out there to the fish community, to the fish fam. And thank you guys for listening. I love you all. And back to your regular scheduled programming. I hope you all have a great night. And feel free to comment on this video afterwards. So this is a little different one. But as always, take care of yourselves so you can take care of the people around you and your fish. And I'll talk to you later in the comments, in the shares, as the video gets around the web. And swim on, guys. Let's make this happen. Talk to you later. Good night.